industry, what some of the current challenges are with that, and I guess what Zetachain can do to help. So let's give it up for Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro. Thanks everyone for being here. It's quite difficult to find this stage. It's like a maze in here. Yeah. So, yeah, this talk is quite timely actually with all of the Bitcoin hype and buzz. And I think one of the big opportunities is, well, how do you actually use Bitcoin in DeFi? And this is one of the facets of Zetachain, and I'll walk you through an overview and tell you what we're doing. And if you're building, there's a big opportunity to tap into Bitcoin interop. So, yes, we know Bitcoin is the first pioneer of blockchain and the first cryptocurrency, and it's an extremely durable network for more than 10 years now, time-tested, and #1 by market cap. In fact, this should probably be like 1.2 trillion now. I can't update the slides fast enough. So a lot of momentum around Bitcoin. And when we think of the mainstream population, they typically associate crypto with Bitcoin, and they don't really know about all of the fun DeFi innovation happening behind the scenes. Bitcoin ETF approval, definitely a huge stamp of validation for the industry, and shows how early we are in terms of TradFi adoption and new potential users that can onboard into decentralized apps and DeFi. The big barrier is that you can't build directly on Bitcoin because it's non-smart contract capable. And so there's this massive pool of native Bitcoin liquidity, and it poses a huge opportunity for developers building apps in crypto to be able to tap into this, as well as users, whether you're in DeFi or the Bitcoin network itself. You want to be able to interact with apps and do stuff beyond just send and receive Bitcoin. And so cross-chain interoperability, multi-chain is a big focus for the ecosystem, and we've found workarounds to interoperate with different chains. You might be familiar with wrapped token versions, and unfortunately, this has been one of the big vectors of attack in crypto because wrapped tokens introduce questionable security assumptions and trust models. And in the case of Bitcoin, this really hasn't taken off when you think about the persona of a Bitcoin holder being all about trust and security. And a lot of them don't, are not a fan of the DeFi stuff that's happening because of the security implications. And there's been a ton of innovation that we've seen recently in terms of infrastructure and apps on Bitcoin network. The BRC-20 trend, the Bitcoin L2s, application-specific blockchains that interact with Bitcoin, of course, ordinals and inscriptions. And the big thing in all of this, it's like, and what Bitcoin communities really care about is that the settlement happens on Bitcoin network itself. And how do you do that and have access to all of the DeFi innovation and be able to interoperate with Bitcoin? This is one of the special facets of Zetachain in that we enable native Bitcoin interoperability. The whole thesis and vision behind Zetachain is to be an omni-chain blockchain and span across all important networks, and really allow developers, users, experience the benefits of all blockchains. And for the reasons we're covering today, Bitcoin is a really important part of that, and we can extend interoperability to Bitcoin and other non-smart networks like Dogecoin and perhaps others that the ecosystem will vote on in the future. We've just been on Mainnet for about 1 month now, so it's quite early. So we're participating in the Build-a-thon, and we're doing hackathons all over the world and have a pretty robust developer ecosystem. And the reason that developers are building on Zetachain is to achieve true chain abstraction. What we mean by that is that you can deploy one app on Zetachain and it can access liquidity and data and users on any connected chain. And then from an end user point of view, you could be on your Bitcoin wallet on the Bitcoin network, Ethereum, Binance, any connected chain, and you can interact and call that omni-chain dApp and access it. This is a new standard of interoperability. It's different than cross-chain messaging architectures and other approaches, and it involves no wrapping or locking of tokens. So it's a much secure way of architecting your application. And so there are two ways to build on Zetachain, and these are the two bounties that we have in the Build-a-thon. The first is cross-chain messaging, where you can relay data between smart contracts on disparate chains. And this is a really easy way to bring interoperability to your app and achieve something like native cross-chain value transfer of fungibles and NFTs. And you can use your existing app on whatever chain. And then the more novel kind of killer feature of Zetachain is this concept of omni-chain smart contract. And that is one contract that lives on Zetachain, and it's interoperable with all connected chains. And it's what makes native Bitcoin access possible, because all of your smart contract logic lives on Zetachain. And then you could be a user on Bitcoin or Binance or Ethereum and additional chains that we integrate in the future, and you'll be able to access that omni-chain dApp without leaving your desired environment. So Zetachain's an interoperable L1 that finally connects Bitcoin. And what's cool is that the developer experience is akin to building on Ethereum in that it's EVM compatible. And then in the base layer, it's built on Cosmos SDK and uses a TSS architecture to be able to sign outbound transactions. And all of this is documented in the Zeta docs, which you should definitely check out. So yeah, all of the time-tested contracts, Uniswap, Aave, Curve, all of these things could be deployed on Zetachain, and then with a simple on cross-chain call and adding a withdraw function, you can make that app interoperable across chains, and there's really like very minimal code change to achieve that. So we launched Mainnet beta 29 days ago now, and this is a project that's been in development for a couple years, so really big milestone. And I think we know that there's a need for better interoperability given all of the fragmentation in the ecosystem. And I think with all of the Bitcoin ETF approvals and revived interest in crypto, this is really good timing, and we can actually affect real change with a mainnet instance because all of the value transfer is real. Couple hundred dApps deployed on the network. You can check out zetachain.com/ecosystem to see everybody that's building these omni-chain dApps. We also launched Zeta Hub, which is our flagship product and sort of entry point into the network. And you can see all of the apps that are being built. And there's been a couple million transactions on the network so far. And again, this is the value prop and sort of this new paradigm for application building. And that is, you deploy your contract once, and you you can have access to liquidity and users on all networks. You can interact with that contract from any chain and use any wallet and abstract the underlying chain away. And all of this is happening without wrapping or locking tokens. So everything settles in the native asset on destination chain. So I just came over from Omni-Chain Day. This was an event that we're still hosting a couple blocks away, and we have partners in from all around the world that are speaking on panels and stuff. And I was just talking to the head chef at Sushi Swap, who is an early pioneer in deploying the first Omni DEX on Zetachain. And so the DEX is live right now, and then very soon they're turning on the ability to swap native Bitcoin for other DeFi assets on any chain. And so fundamentally, a DEX is a big first step in the sorts of omni-chain apps that you can build. This one is really exciting, and we'll share more information when it goes live, but essentially this will be the first multi-chain asset pool. And so you'll have one contract that you can deposit native assets in from different chains. So Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, ETH on Ethereum, USDC on Binance, and all of this can be interacted with from any chain, this omni-chain asset pool. So all sorts of new yield opportunities and stable swap trading will be possible. And there's a lot of potential for building use cases that we're already familiar with, like DEXs and lending and borrowing, but in such a way that users can access these apps from anywhere, and the liquidity is unified. So we're building on the foundation side a lot of tutorials for these types of omni-chain use cases. In fact, we just wrote a restaking contract. So you can build an app that you can stake native foreign assets from external chains to secure other blockchains. And there are some cool projects in the space that are doing exactly that. With Zetachain, you can involve any sorts of assets from any chains, and it lives as an Omni contract on Zetachain, and it's quite easy. So we're working with all sorts of partners around the world, application level, infrastructure, wallets, and everybody is talking about multi-chain. And if you're a developer, you're certainly trying to make your app interoperate across all important ecosystems that are here to stay. Bitcoin is one of them. And these are some of the partners that are helping us realize this omni-chain future. And Yeah, I sit on the community side, and so I I get to talk to people all around the world and developers, and like with blockchains can be very tribal, where they try to steal liquidity from each other and developers, and Zetachain is unique in that we really are friendly in our architecture. Like, we're designed to be chain agnostic and like help drive transaction volume across all ecosystems. And so that kind of rubs off on the community culture from my experience. We're very active with events all around the world, do a lot of content and thought leadership stuff. We just crossed 1 million followers on Twitter today, which is a pretty cool milestone. And yeah, I mentioned like follow us on all of these channels, and also join Zeta Hub to actually experience some of these opportunities that our ecosystem is making possible, and would love to have you build cool stuff in it. And we have like a grant program. The QR code will give you more information on that. And yeah, we want to build really cool omni-chain apps with all of you, and specifically this Bitcoin opportunity is quite massive. So there's a lot of good stuff ahead. Thank you for listening. Questions? Sure, yeah. I guess we have time for some questions if anyone is intrigued about some of the things in the deck or about Zetachain. Yeah. Performance. Yeah. Well, right now, it's performing fast like an L2, like Polygon. And yeah, when you're interacting with chains on other networks, you're subject to the increased block times of Bitcoin, for example. And so part of the value prop is to allow users and devs to experience the benefits of all blockchains. There are advantages with Bitcoin in that it's non-smart. Others have scalability or privacy strengths and weaknesses, and so you're reliant upon the external chain's security and block times. But on Zetachain's EVM, it's like kind of like an L2, and it's really cheap right now. Yeah. Anything else from anyone? Questions? Yeah, like Zetachain funding? Yeah, we raised 27 million. We announced that in August last year. And yeah, we have major investors in every major market in Asia and all around the world. And now, yeah, on Mainnet for about a month now. Yeah. And on the funding piece, because I get a lot of questions about opportunities and stuff, we want to host demo days with a lot of the builders, and so anyone that is part of like VC and investment, we're going to do demos with people building on Zeta and can make introductions. You got to follow the news, man. The token's live. We're running testnet for 2 years, and I guess different from other chains that you see out there that run a mainnet instance and then introduce the token. Zetachain's a bit different in that when we launched mainnet 29 days ago, you need the token to be able to do these cross-chain interactions. So it's very critical to how the omni-chain dApps work, and all of that is in the Zeta docs. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll be on the side if any of you want to chat more. And again, thank you for your time.